Collecting football stickers is one of the biggest and most nostalgic side hobby for fans. Companies such as Panini and Topps have been making collections for years, covering not only international tournaments, but domestic leagues and much more. In 1994, Milton Keynes-based Merlin Publications won the rights to make the official Premier League albums. Instantly collected in school playgrounds, on the bus, or in the park, fans flocked to buy their first ever album, titled Merlin's Premier League 94. The flagship annual featured several current stars on its album cover. Manchester United's Ryan Giggs was joined by Arsenal's Paul Merson, but it's another feature of this album that we are looking at today. In the album, Merlin created a section called Rising Stars, where they selected 8 young players who they tipped for great things. The page read, "Emerging young talent is the lifeblood of football. Club scouts constantly scour the country looking for youngsters with the necessary flair and ability. This is our choice of youngsters to look out for. We think they're going all the way to the top." This brings us to today's episode. What happened to the Merlin's Premier League 94 Rising Stars? Before we start, please like and subscribe for more football content. Ian Selley came through Arsenal's academy and made his debut in 1992 at the age of 18. The midfielder was a promising talent under George Graham and was part of Paul Simpson's England team that placed third in the Under-20 World Cup. During the 1993-94 season, he played the entire 90 minutes of their UEFA Cup Winners' Cup victory over Parma and was the youngest player on the field. The following season, Selley broke his leg in a game against Leicester in February 1995, which sidelined him until the 96-97 season. New manager Arsene Wenger chose to loan him out to Southend United before returning to the Arsenal first team one final time, coming off the bench in the 85th minute in a 3-0 win away at Chelsea. He left the Gunners in 1997 and signed for Fulham, where 3 games in he broke his leg once again. Eventually leaving the club in 2000, he signed for Wimbledon, where he continued to struggle with injury. Following another brief loan with Southend, he quit pro football in 2003. He spent a prolonged spell with Woking over the next 4 seasons before playing for another 9 clubs, eventually retiring in 2012. He has since managed a number of non-league clubs, including Chertsey Town, and even had several spells back as a player between 2021 and 2023, most recently with Dial Square FC. He has also previously held an ambassador role with Arsenal, but currently he is employed as the manager of non-league club Leatherhead at the age of 50. Midfielder Steve Froggatt made his debut in 1991 and went on to establish himself during the 1992-93 season, where he made 21 appearances, scoring 3 goals. He also won 2 caps for the England Under-21 team, but didn't play in Villa's League Cup win in 1994. Froggatt was gone by the end of the 1993-94 season and was sold to Wolves, who at the time were playing in the old First Division, with Graham Taylor paying £1 million for him. He played 4 seasons with the club and played in several unsuccessful playoff campaigns. In 1998, he returned to the Premier League, joining Coventry City for £1.8 million, where he was a first-team regular. In 1999, Kevin Keegan called him up to the England squad, although he never went on to win his first cap. In 2000, he suffered an injury that kept him sidelined for most of the next year, and by 2001, he decided to retire at the age of 28. He has since worked as a press officer for Coventry, as well as a personal trainer and radio football summariser. Neal Bartlett joined the Saints in 1990 and went on to make his debut in 1993. During the 93-94 season, he made a number of appearances in the first team before eventually losing his place in the team to veteran Paul Allen. Bartlett was released by Southampton midway through the 94-95 season. He somewhat surprisingly joined non-league side Fareham Town before briefly moving to Swedish football with BK Häcken. He later had spells with Hereford United and Newport County before joining the British Army in 1999. He continued his career semi-professionally and turned out for a number of non-league clubs close to the bases he was stationed. He retired in 2008 whilst with Northern Irish Side Institute. He reportedly now works in sales. It's probably fair to say as well, he appears to be the least photographed footballer of all time. At the age of 15, Shipperley was scouted by Chelsea after playing against their team in a charity tournament. He eventually made his debut in 1993 and was largely a backup to the likes of John Spencer and Mark Stein. He signed for Southampton in January 95 for a then record fee of £1.25 million. He then lost his place in the team to Egil Ostenstad and moved to Crystal Palace. The following year he departed, remaining in the Premier League with Nottingham Forest. Later followed spells with Barnsley and Wimbledon before returning to Palace in 2003. In 2005 he joined Sheffield United before finishing his career in 2007 with Brentford. He finished his career with 119 goals in 446 league games. He later had spells as a manager in non-league, most recently in 2014, but in 2019 he was charged with indecent exposure and received a 12-month community order. The last we heard about him was he was receiving counselling for personal issues including gambling and the death of his father. Adie Mike came through the academy at City and made his debut in 1992. Playing in a forward line that featured the likes of Uwe Rosler and Niall Quinn, he was limited to 16 appearances and was loaned out to Bury and Swedish side Linköping. He was also part of the aforementioned England Under-20 World Cup 1993 squad. Mike was sold to Stockport County in 1995 after never really establishing himself at Main Road. He later had spells in the Football League with Hartlepool United, Doncaster Rovers and Lincoln City, as well as a number of different non-league teams. In 2003 he had a spell in Northern Ireland with Cliftonville. He retired in 2004 with Leek Town and later became a personal trainer. He is now managing director of a private jet company based in Manchester. The young striker joined Leeds in 1990 after having played youth football in France with Auxerre. He was capped 3 times at England under-18 level and notably helped the Leeds youth team win the FA Youth Cup, beating a Manchester United in the process that had the likes of David Beckham, Paul Scholes and Gary Neville. Forrester went on to make 9 appearances in the first team. Following loan spells with Southend United and Grimsby Town, he joined the Mariners permanently in 1995, but only scored 6 times in 41 league games in a forward line featuring prolific players like Clive Mendonca and Jack Lester. In 1997, he moved down to the 4th tier and helped Scunthorpe United to promotion to Division 2, where his performances earned him a move to the Netherlands to play for FC Utrecht. He later returned to England with Northampton Town, Hull City and Bristol Rovers. Between 2006 and 2008, he was a prolific goalscorer for Lincoln City, but failed to get them promoted via the playoffs on numerous occasions. He later played for Notts County, before retiring in 2010 with non-league club Lincoln Moorlands Railway. He is now the CEO of the Non-League Players Association. Another member of that England under-20 side was Darren Caskey, which you can maybe imagine what Merlin were looking at when they chose these players. Spurs midfielder Caskey was blooded in 1992, playing as part of Jerry Francis' team and was part of a strong midfield that included Nick Bombi and Darren Anderton. He remained at White Hart Lane until 1996, but by that time had only played 32 times for the club. He went to play over 200 times for Reading and then over 100 games for Notts County. He later had brief spells in the Football League with Bristol City, Peterborough United and Rushden and Diamonds. He also had a spell stateside with Virginia Beach Mariners and played for a host of non-league teams before retiring with Ilkeston in 2012. He has since worked as a coach for the likes of Wrexham, Gateshead and York City. His son is fellow footballer Jake Forster Caskey. Merlin's final selection came in the form of Norwich City winger Darren Eadie. He made his professional debut in a UEFA Cup game against Vitesse Arnhem in 1993. Eadie quickly became a first-team regular, staying loyal to the club despite their relegation from the Premier League in 1995. In 1997, he was called up to the England team for the Tournoi, the warm-up tournament to World Cup '98, famous for that Roberto Carlos free kick. In 1999, due to an ongoing financial issue at Norwich, he was sold to Leicester City for £3 million. Sadly, after making only 40 appearances in 4 years due to injuries, he eventually retired in 2003 at the age of 28. In 2012, he opened up on suffering severe depression and panic attacks from retiring at a young age, particularly as friends and ex-teammates were still mostly playing. In 2020, he was appointed joint manager of non-league club Leiston, which is where he remains. It may be a bit of a daft question to ask. Do you think Merlin got it right? It's probably fair to say, do you remember these players, and what are your memories of them? Who else out of the album would have been a better pick? Thanks for watching. Please give us a like and subscribe for more like-minded football content.